What I want to show you in this video is how to determine whether you need to replace the fuse in your WorkerB power pack. In front of us we have a machine that is actually fully functional. If you turn it on, you'll notice there's a red light. The red light indicates that you're getting power through the system. If you don't get the red light, and if nothing is functional, chances are the fuse, the protective fuse in your system has blown and you need to replace the fuse. Fortunately, to replace the fuse, the only way you can do it is to remove the power cord. So that protects you. And then there is a little tab right here that you can use a screwdriver to pry against. And there's a little bit of pressure to get it because the fuse is snapped in there. And once you pulled that out, there's your fuse drawer. And you'll see there's a holder spot for a spare fuse, which this one has. And the inner fuse is the active fuse. Now, some of the original systems, which I have here, one of them, this is a prototype production sample that was approved, have a slightly different cartridge. Instead of a drawer, it's a cartridge that comes completely out. It serves the exact same function. There's your fuse, there's your storage hole for a second fuse, but only this one is active. A little bit easier to see here since it comes out that this is the only one that's active. And what we're going to talk about next now is how do I replace the fuse and what type of fuse do I need for my system. To know what fuse you need to replace in your system, you can pull the fuse out and inspect the fuse to see what amperage size it is and how many volts it is. But you can also look at the bottom of the box under amperage, and you can look to see if it is what the maximum rating is. This one takes a 5 amp fuse. It would take 250 volts as spec, but a 5 amp 125 volt fuse would work as well. It's the amperage that's most important, but we do spec 5 amp 250 volt for this box. Now here is a different box, and you'll notice this box is rated at 3 amps. So this would take a 3 amp 250 volt fuse. I also want to point out on this box we have one of our quality check stickers with a P number. The P number is the batch number for the unit, and that helps us to track any potential issues that we might be having in a batch, and also just to make sure that our quality is where it needs to be across the board. If we ask for the P number, that's where you find it. And the best way to find it instead of removing the box is actually just to take your phone and reverse the image on it and then use it to look under the box. So you probably can't see this, but I can see the P number in the round white sticker, and looking at the black sticker, I can see this one is a 5 amp, max 5 amp system. So now what we need to do next, knowing what we need in the way of a fuse, is you need to know that you can pop these fuses out from the back side. There are holes that you can just put your screwdriver through in order to pop the fuse out. So I'm going to pop this fuse out. You can see it's popping. There we go. Whoops, sorry. And I can look at the fuse and I can see what it was. This is a 5 amp, you probably can't see it, 250 volt fuse because this system takes the 5 amp. The element is solid. I can see that it's not broken. That's why this one's working. It's a good fuse. And if you happen to have a multimeter, you can check continuity by running the probes from either end of the fuse. And if you get the beep for continuity, you know that the element's not broken. If you don't get continuity, you know it's a bad fuse. But typically you can see if they're blown because the tube will be, it'll look dark and cloudy inside. So if you have a blown fuse, you can get a replacement. You simply pop the new fuse in by pushing it into position, snapping it in, closing the drawer, plug your system back in, your light should come on, and you should be back to sewing. Now, this one, whoops, I already had this one. The drawer comes out. This one, you don't even need a screwdriver. You can just pull the fuse out, put a new fuse in, snap it back into position, and then plug in and you're ready to go.